was invited by another Star Wars group, Empire Saber Guild, to be able to award Peter Mayhew, the actor that played Chewbacca, with his medal from Yavin, which was subsequently left out of the movie. So we had to repair that fault of 40 years ago. So I was invited to do that. So I took a look at my list of costumes that I was going to make and was like, oh, now I need to do this dress. It's your quintessential, beautiful storybook ending to a Star Wars movie. This is a costume that I fell in love with when I was a little kid. It's the princess dress. It is that moment where you're like, oh, look, they won the day. So I think it's one of those things that just burns itself as an icon into our minds. And it's been a treat to be able to wear today and be able to see people's reaction. Plus, flowy, gigantic sleeves. Who wouldn't go for that?
So I chose this version of Leia partly because it's the most comfortable version. She's a very strong-willed female, which at the time that the movies were coming out was really not popular. So she set an example for that and how women should act the way that they want to. She always put her bravest face on, even though she saw her own planet blown up in front of her and was only able to grieve about it for like 30 seconds. But she was able to power through that and then keep leading a rebellion. I don't think there's anything cooler than that.
So the first time I saw Star Wars, I just thought that Princess Leia was the coolest. She was really badass with a blaster, and obviously she's got the Force as well. But I just thought that she was a very multifaceted character, and it was interesting to see her grow across the movies, and now in the new incarnation to see her in further adventures. So when I saw Empire Strikes Back and in her Cloud City garb, I'm like, wow, it was interesting to see her in an outfit that didn't have any sort of official capacity, whether it was not her senatorial outfit or any of her military garb. It was nice to see her in a sort of informal outfit, and it's really a beautiful costume. So I was very interested to try to create that as best I could, and it's one of my favorites.
So I decided to cosplay as Princess Leia from Star Wars Return of the Jedi in her Endor military gear. You might think that it's odd for a guy to say that he wants to costume as Princess Leia, but I did it for a really specific reason. I think it's important to show that a man can cosplay as a strong female character to honor that iconic character in a positive and heroic sense rather than a comedic sense. Princess Leia is one of the bravest characters of Star Wars A New Hope. At her supposed age of about 19 or 20 in Star Wars A New Hope, she is already a diplomat. She is already going on missions. She's actually one of the first main characters to come face to face with Darth Vader himself. She stands up as much as she can to Moff Tarkin. She has to go through so many things, including being captured, and even when she's captured and she's being rescued, let's be honest, she was just as much a part of that rescue team as anybody else. If it wasn't for her, that rescue mission could have gone very differently. What I hope other guys realize that they can cosplay strong women characters as well, and that people continue to do it, and people continue to remember those strong characters like Princess Leia through cosplay and beyond.
I first learned about Star Wars, oh my gosh, probably when I was in kindergarten, and my dad used to put on our 8-track of the Star Wars soundtrack, and it was the music was just so brilliant. We were like, can we watch the movie? And we saw it, and there was a strong woman who was on the screen, who didn't take any crap from anybody, who was passionate and angry and powerful, and didn't need anybody to rescue her, and that was like amazing to see on TV, because normally it was like, oh, here's a Disney movie where princesses are, ready to be rescued by their prince, or they were waiting around for something to happen. And Princess Leia was not that. She just went out there, she got what she needed, she saved the universe and led the rebellion.
I got interested in the movie Postcards from the Edge. I had read an article in something like Entertainment Weekly, and I thought it was very interesting. I loved that it was a story that was based on Carrie Fisher's life, and that how open it was, and also the art design was very beautiful in certain scenes, very eye-popping. I was sitting there and I was watching through the credits, and it was probably one of the first times I'd actually sat through the whole credit sequence. And as I'm watching all the names in the credits, it occurred to me that I could actually go into the film business, and it was interesting because I was intrigued by this film, and when I was contemplating it, I started to connect with it and see myself in a role that could perhaps share such a story with other people. So that's a Carrie Fisher memory.
Now, Carrie Fisher was an extremely important character to me because she was female in a mostly male cast. I just really remember seeing her in the theaters when Star Wars first came out, and I thought, oh my God, it's a woman. She's strong, she's brazen, she's bold. I love her. When she did pass, though, it was an extreme shock to me. I was just literally praying and praying that it would never happen. She was not only just an inspiration in Star Wars, but she helped me in my life. Carrie Fisher being so bright and smart and witty, I actually got ahead in my all-male field in engineering just because I knew that somebody like her could do that as well. So literally that character just kind of showed me that I could do it, and anybody could do it. Whether you're male, female, it really doesn't matter. So that's what Carrie means to me.
I was 5 years old when Star Wars came out. It is my first memory as a human being. I remember watching the movie, climbing into the back seat of my parents' car and staring up at the sky, thinking I could be able to see the Millennium Falcon flying off, because that's the way movies worked, right? They were just like microscopes into a real world. I looked up to Leia in the sense that that's what a girl should be. That's what a girl could be. I could be feminine, I could wear a dress, I could fire a gun, I could boss a boy around, and I could be in charge. And at the same time, not lose any of that femininity. And she stood there with poise and resilience on the same 2 feet that she planted herself on, with a blaster in her hand, and said, "Into the chute, flyboy." She was going to take none of it from anyone. And all of a sudden I realized, not only did I want to be her when I was 5, I wanted to be her when I was 55 and 60.
Princess Leia was always a really big influence on me when I was little. I was always really into science fiction, and my parents took me to see Star Wars. And I remember loving the character of Princess Leia. I mean, here's this princess who doesn't need any rescuing, clearly, and she gets to play kind of in the boys' club with Luke the Jedi and Han Solo, this fabulous smuggler. And then my mom actually got me the Princess Leia doll for Christmas. And I was reading in her bio that she was adopted by Bail Organa, and that was kind of really inspirational to me because I'm adopted as well. So to see a character that was a strong female who was also adopted was really special to me. And I got to meet her at New York Comic-Con. I kind of told her story that, that was really influential to me as a child because she was adopted. And she kind of looked at me and she said, in all my years of doing this and being fans, I've never actually heard someone touch upon that background of her character, and that's really special. I'm so grateful for her legacy and for what she's done for fandom, especially for women, and how much of a strong woman she was, not just in the fandom, but as a writer, as a ghostwriter, everything that she's done for mental health awareness. She's just a really, really special person. She'll always be a really special person to me, and that's kind of what Carrie Fisher and Princess Leia means to me.